Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I have you in my living room and we're going to have a discussion regarding some things that I tell buyers when I'm doing a consult, but that I want to share with you if you are considering moving to Southwest Washington, considering buying a pre-existing home, that you will want to know about, because there are some faulty products, materials, or just things that were put in the homes here in the Pacific Northwest that really should not have been used in the Pacific Northwest. So I want to bring those things to your awareness, because that's part of what I do for clients that I work with all the time, and I would hope that it would actually help you as well. So we are going to get after it, and we're going to talk about 4 types of materials or products that you need to be aware of if you're going to buy a home that can cost you a very, very, very pretty penny if you don't get it addressed prior to purchasing. So let's begin having that talk right now. When working with clients who are looking to purchase pre-existing homes, it is my job to absolutely make sure that they know regarding things in homes that were either a faulty product, material, or just not an ideal type of material that's used here in the Pacific Northwest. And so I want to talk with you regarding the 4 areas that are really going to cost you some heavy duty money if you do not watch out for them at the time that you're looking for or looking at the home, and that you make sure to pay attention to when it comes up on your inspection report, because there are some that try to just kind of not a big deal. You know, it's been good for the last 10, 15 years, so we're not going to have an issue now. Well, you shouldn't have to inherit that issue, especially at the pretty penny that you're paying for a home here in the Pacific Northwest. So I want to let you know in this video the 4 areas and the things that you need to look for in these areas of a home when you're looking at pre-existing homes, so that you can save yourself emotional distress because you love that home and now you can't get that home, to save you money, and more importantly, to save you time. Because after all, that is what we as realtors are supposed to be here for, or at least that's what my job is for my clients that I work for, is to make sure to protect them from these things. So let's talk about those 4 areas, shall we? So what may be those 4 areas of a home that we need to make sure to pay close attention to when we're viewing the homes? It's going to be the siding, the electrical, the plumbing, or the interior finishes or materials that were used in a home, that I always want to be sure to bring up and make my clients aware of at the time we do our consultation, and at the time that we're actually looking at homes, if I get any type of inkling or have information that those things may be found in the home. So let's talk about going from the outside of the home, working our way inside the home. So let's start off with siding. Now, just so that you know, when I show homes to my clients, I am always walking around and I'm pointing out things like, you see that weave in the roof there? Do you see this type of siding? Do you see the foundation cracks here? I always do that, not to be a little naysayer, but because I really take my clients' home purchasing to heart, which means I really want them to be well advised on what they may have to take on if they choose to purchase that home, or what we may need to negotiate with the seller in order to make sure that they still want to purchase it and that we can actually get the deal to close. Because sometimes some of these things lenders won't even allow to have financing done on, or you won't even be able to get insurance on it if it is in the home at the time that you purchase it. So let's talk about that exterior, shall we? The first one, of course, is going to be siding, right? You walk up to the home, and I absolutely love homes that have that kind of cement look finish, in which is called stucco. Stucco is a cement, limestone, sand, water product that's put on the exterior of the home that has that flat finish. Sometimes it'll have a rough finish, or of course, It'll also sometimes have a print finish on it as well. They look absolutely beautiful. They're fabulous to have in Florida and Arizona with the hot temperatures, with the sporadic little rains, but they have a lot warmer temperatures. Here in the Northwest, we have rain and we don't have a lot of warm temperatures to really help dry out. And if you are not good at making sure to clean out those lovely gutters and drains, it is a huge issue for properties that have stucco. And since we have a lot of rain and we have a lot of trees, the drainage in your gutters will constantly get clogged up. Even if you don't have a tree right by you, if you have one 3 houses down, those leaves will blow and it's going to cause your drainage to get stopped up. And then what happens is the water runs down, it causes cracks with the constant temperature, climate changes that we have here without that drying out in between. You're going to begin to have some structural cracks that take place. And the average cost to fix stucco is going to be anywhere between $6 to $9 between labor and materials per square foot. So I've had homes where we've written offers and my client loved the home. There was just some hairline fractures. A lot of times it'll happen around windows and it'll happen just below gutter lines and just a small area. I've had sellers that I've represented that it's been an issue and buyers that I've represented that it's been an issue. And on the seller side, this was probably a couple years ago, just for a small section underneath a 3x6, it was $1,800 to correct that area. And so it can be pretty expensive, but stucco, you do want to definitely find out whether it's stucco or if it is a EIFS product. And then of course, look at it very carefully. The other siding that you want to pay attention to is what is called a LP siding, which is called a Louisiana-Pacific siding. A lot of people may be familiar with this throughout the U.S., but it was a type of siding that was put into homes between 1985 and 1995. They were known to rot out, they would disintegrate. They would have discoloration, class action lawsuit that took place in 1996, which then really made sure that everybody knew that, yes, this is an issue. You can't brush it under the carpet any longer. Not everybody was able to take advantage of having their siding redone. So there are still homes that were built between 1985 to 1995 that will have some LP siding on it, and you'll want to make sure to pay close attention to that. Now, when we go into the interior of the home, there are some areas that you will not see these things until you actually have an inspection, which is why it is so vitally important to have an inspection, because that inspector is going to get into crawl space, they're going to get up in the attic, they're going to see the things that you can't readily see or that you will not know about. And so we are going to talk about plumbing, and plumbing is a huge, huge cost, especially when you have it break on you. And so one of the issues that we have with some of our homes here, if they were built between 1978 and 1995, you will still have some homes that have a piping in it called polybutylene. And polybutylene was a PVC type of pipe, or a plastic pipe, excuse me. Usually they're gray or they're white and they may have blue lettering. Sometimes they're white and even have black, but then they will sometimes have, the BP on it or different things that stand for polybutylene. Sorry, it's kind of eluding my brain right now. But first thing you need to know is that this product, when they did finally get through the lawsuit, which was covering the years between 1984 and 1992, from that lawsuit, it was only determined from it that if the homeowners had issues at the time, within a certain period of time of the finalization of the lawsuit, they were able to get the piping replaced. If there were not issues in the home, the piping was not, there was not a credit given, and there was not, the piping wasn't replaced. So this is where the issue comes up. I don't know how many times I've had sellers come back and say, well, I've been in the home for 20 years and I haven't had any issues with these pipes, so I'm not going to replace them. If it's not broken, it doesn't need to be fixed. However, the issue is with polybutylene, it actually continues over time to begin to disintegrate, especially with the different chlorines and things that they're running through the water these days. It actually begins to make the piping brittle and burst. And that's what the lawsuit was about, was because it would actually begin to burst and crack. And unfortunately, it's cracking in between your walls. It's not always cracking, underneath your home. Sometimes it would crack where the fittings would be placed. But again, overall, because of the way that the piping was put in, you never knew where it was going to be cracking and busting. And when it comes to water, it causes a lot of damage. So anytime you have polybutylene in a home, you do need to consider whether you're going to take it on, because another thing is, a lot of times you will have insurance issues if you have a home that has polybutylene. Sometimes they will not cover it. So just so that you know that. So you'll want to be sure to pay attention when it comes up on your inspection report. Another area that we're going to make sure to pay close attention to is the electrical panel within a home. And these are specifically going to be in homes between the ages of 1950 all the way into the 1980s. Because during that duration of time, there was a type of electrical panel that was put in by a company called FPE, which was Federal Pacific Electrical Panel, but it's called Federal Pacific Electrical Company. And in 2005, there was a class action lawsuit that made them responsible for a huge number of fires that took place in several homes across the United States, in which then made them have to be responsible and have a recall. Now, obviously, they had little loopholes in that. So not all of the homes that had a Federal Pacific electrical panel was replaced. So if you have an inspection and a federal electrical panel is actually present in the home, you will want to look at negotiating to have that seller replace that panel. And that's because there was always breaker failures, which means that the wiring was overloading, it was arcing at times, and a lot of the pressures of the appliances put on the panel couldn't hold. And so it would cause, and was known to cause, fires. So you'll want to beware of the Federal Pacific electrical panels and be sure to ask for repairs on that. Now, normally an electrical panel for those is probably more around $2,200 now, so it's not a huge cost, maybe compared to siding or maybe compared to plumbing, but none the yet. Fire is never good, so you want to be sure to pay close attention if this is one of the items that is found in your inspection. The last item that we're going to talk about is things that you can see in a home, and especially if you love the historical homes that have all of the character and charm. Well, those historical homes, when they built things, there were some things they didn't know about the materials that they were putting into the home. And so if you're looking at any type of home that is like a 1970s or older, the number one issue that we are always going to be watching out for, or at least I know when I'm representing my clients looking at homes that I am going to make you aware of, is if there is products that are known to have asbestos in them. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, asbestos in itself is not bad unless, of course, it is released into the air, which can normally be done if you're sanding on things, if you're ripping out materials that have asbestos in it, then you're releasing that into the air, and it is known to cause lung cancer and a lot of other plethora of health issues. And so the product itself, they used it back in the day because it was great as a fire-resistant product. It could, as far as heat insulation in the home, so they had it in everything from the insulation, the batting, and the paper for the insulation in between walls. They had it, of course, within the stoves that were in the homes. They had it in the tiles. They had it on the siding, and so a lot of times you're not going to necessarily know what these products are. They just may look, aesthetically pleasing and pretty. However, when you want to do a replacement, it is very costly to not only get it tested, but then you also have to pay to get it removed. And I mean, it's like hazmat suits on. You have to get special, like, permits and things to actually, treat it, remove it, dump it, all that kind of stuff. It is very, very expensive. And so again, the issue when you're looking at buying a pre-existing home is that you may have a seller that says, it's been on the home. It's 2005. Hello, I don't have an issue with it. Just don't take the popcorn off your ceiling. Just don't, remove the smooth, pretty little tiles up in the ceiling, or, don't remove the insulation in between your walls. Whatever it may be. But the issue is if you do want to, you got to know that it's going to cost you. And so these are things that are important that you're going to want to know about when you're buying a pre-existing home, when it comes to the siding, when it comes to the plumbing, when it comes to the electrical, or when it comes to materials in your home that were back in 1970s or older that have asbestos in it. And so the only way that you're going to know, again, is an inspection. Sometimes the inspectors won't be able to know for sure. They'll advise you to talk to a specialist that can test to see if there is asbestos. But again, once you open up the can of worms, they become your can of worms. So, so those are just some of the things that you need to know about when you're looking to buy pre-existing homes that come up that can cost you a very, very pretty penny, or can actually kill the deal on a home and take up your time and disappoint you emotionally if you aren't aware of them at the initial time that you actually look at a home. So I hope that these things were helpful to you as far as some things to be looking out for. Again, I love the fact that you guys watch these videos. If you by chance are looking to make the move here, I would love it even more if you would reach out, because I'd love to be able to help you purchase your next home here in Southwest Washington. But until I see you, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching my channel, and I hope you have a great home buying and selling day.